Imagine standing in a room of mirrors, each one casting a different version of you. One stretches your form into something grand, another twists it into a riddle, a third paints it with colors you'd never choose. You turn, adjust pose, searching for the reflection that feels right, the one that silences the hum of doubt in your chest. But the mirrors keep shifting, and the you that stares back is never quite the you that you know. Now imagine those mirrors aren't glass, but screens, endless, glowing screens. And the hands shaping the reflections aren't yours alone, but the world's. This is the Gilbhi trend, a dance of shadows where we craft ourselves anew, not to be seen, but to be seen as we dream. In this age of digital light, where every face is a canvas and every click a brushstroke, Gilbhi has risen like a tide. People don't just show themselves anymore. They sculpt. A filter smooths the skin, a distortion bends the eyes, an algorithm spins a surreal mask that's half human, half myth. It's mesmerizing, this power to remake what you are, to step out of the flesh and into a vision. But it's more than art. It's a whisper from the soul, a question carved in pixels. Who am I when the world isn't looking? And who do I become when it is? Elias Vornholt, a philosopher who lived centuries ago yet feels eerily present, pondered this long before the screens arrived. Picture him in a dim attic, candle flickering, surrounded by sketches of faces, some his, some strangers. "We are born seeking ourselves," he wrote, "and spend our lives hiding from what we find." For Vornholt, identity wasn't a stone to stand on, but a river, always moving, always slipping through our fingers. The Gilbhi trend, with its kaleidoscope of selves, would have fascinated him. He'd see it as a rebellion against the mirror's tyranny, a refusal to let the raw, unfiltered I be the final word. Look at your own reflection, not the one in glass, but the one you've built online. You've tweaked it, haven't you? A photo angle just so, a caption polished to shine. The world demands perfection. Smooth skin, sharp wit, a life that gleams. And you feel it, that pressure like a hand on your throat. Gilbhi offers an escape. Why conform when you can create? Why bow to their gaze when you can dazzle it? You stretch your jaw into a surreal curve, paint your eyes with starlight, turn your voice into an echo of something unearthly. It's freedom, or so it seems, a chance to be more than the body you woke up in. But Vornholt would pause here, his quill hovering. To flee the real, he warned, is to chase a ghost. Freedom's a tricky word. When you drape yourself in Gilbhi's veil, those surreal distortions, those AI-spun masks, do you rise above the world's judgment, or do you bury yourself deeper in its game? The modern chorus sings of beauty, thin waists, full lips, flawless skin, and you felt the sting of not measuring up. So you rebel, not by rejecting the song, but by rewriting it. You're still playing, just with wilder notes. Is that liberation, or a prettier cage? Step back and feel the weight of it. You've spent years dodging mirrors, not the glass ones, but the eyes of others. Every glance a verdict, every silence a sentence. Gilbhi hands you a shield. If they can't see the real you, they can't judge it. But here's the riddle Vornholt loved to unravel. What happens when the shield becomes the self? When the mask fits so well you forget the face beneath. You post your Gilbhi self, exaggerated, ethereal, and the likes pour in. You're seen, adored, untouchable. Yet late at night, alone with the dark, do you still know who's breathing? This isn't new. Sartre spoke of the gaze, how we shrink or swell under others' eyes, becoming what they see. Vornholt took it further. We craft ourselves to escape the gaze, only to crave it more. The Gilbhi trend is a paradox, a flight from scrutiny that begs for attention. You hide to be found, distort to be desired. It's a tightrope walk. One misstep, and you're lost between the real and the dream. But Vornholt didn't judge, he marveled. The soul, he wrote, is a mirror and a maze, reflecting what it fears, seeking what it hides. Think of the great mask makers before us. The Greeks wore them in theater, becoming gods and fools. The Romantics painted their souls in poetry, half true, half fantasy. Today, we wield Gilbhi, not on stage, but in our hands every day. It's play, yes, but it's also power. You decide the story, mysterious, bold, otherworldly. The world can't pin you down, yet the existential hum grows louder. If the story's all they see, where do you live? Now widen the lens. This isn't just you, it's us. A million Gilbhi faces flood the digital sea, each a ripple in a vast, shimmering illusion. We're a chorus of shadows, singing to be heard, yet drowning in the echo. Vornholt saw this coming. The more we craft ourselves, the less we touch. Connection thins when every face is a fiction. Beautiful, yes, but brittle. You reach for the real, but grasp a ghost. Is this the freedom we wanted, or the exile we feared? This is just the first step into the maze. We've lifted the veil, peeked at the shadows beneath. But philosophy doesn't sit still. It pulls you deeper. In the next part, we'll chase the thread. What does Gilbhi reveal about our hunger for control, our dance with reality, our fragile, yearning selves? The mirrors tilt, the maze twists. Will you follow? The strings of the puppeteer. Imagine yourself as a puppeteer, hands tangled in strings, each one tied to a piece of you. You pull this way, and your face sharpens into something fierce. Tug that way, and your eyes glow with a mystery you've never felt. The stage is bright, the audience rapt, and for a moment, you're the master. Every twitch yours to command, every gasp theirs to give. But the strings tighten, the wood creaks, and you wonder, are you holding them, or are they holding you? This is the Gilbhi Trend's next lesson. A game of control where the puppet and the player blur, and the stage becomes a cage we built ourselves. In the first step, we saw the veil. How Gilbhi lets you craft a self that dazzles, a shadow that dances free of the world's harsh light. But Elias Vornholt, peering from his attic window centuries ago, would have seen more. He'd watch the glow of screens, the flicker of filters, and scribble in his notebook. We shape ourselves to rule the mirror, but the mirror rules us still. For Vornholt, control was the human itch, scratch it, and it bleeds. Gilbhi scratches hard, offering a promise. If you can bend how you're seen, you can bend the world. Feel that promise in your bones. You open an app, tweak a slider, and suddenly you're not the tired face in the morning mirror. You're a vision, sharp-edged, untouchable. The world's a chaos of judgment, scrolling eyes, swiping thumbs, and Gilbhi hands you the reins. No more shrinking under their gaze. Now you steer it. A distorted jaw, a neon streak, a voice warped into something alien. It's yours, all yours. Power hums in your fingertips. I decide who I am. I decide what they see. Vornholt would nod, but with a frown. Power overshadows is no power at all. Why the frown? Because control's a slippery fish. You felt it. The rush of posting your Gilbhi self, the flood of hearts and comments. You've won, haven't you? The audience claps, the strings hold. But then the rush fades, and you're back at the screen, tweaking again. A new filter, a bolder twist, better, stranger more. The stage demands encore after encore, and you're running to keep up. Vornholt saw this trap in the courtiers of his day, preening for kings, chasing a nod that never lasted. We grip the wheel, he wrote, and call it freedom, but the road drives us. This is Gilbhi's paradox. You rebel against the world's rules by making your own, only to bow to a new master. The illusion itself, the modern hymn of perfection. Be thin, be bright, be flawless, still echoes just remixed. You don't fit their mold, so you sculpt a wilder one, but you're still sculpting for them. Heidegger might call it inauthenticity. Living for the they, not the I. Vornholt put it simpler. We flee the cage of flesh to build a cage of light. The strings pull tighter, and the puppet dances faster. Now step into the quiet. You've posted your Gilbhi mask. The likes are in, the screen's off. What's left? A hum in your chest, pride, maybe, or unease. You've controlled the story, but the real you sits untouched, unseen. Do you even know it anymore? Vornholt loved this question. He'd sketch faces, his own, warped and strange, and ask, which is me? The hand that draws or the line it leaves? Gilbhi lets you draw 1,000 lines, but the hand stays hidden, trembling, unsure. This isn't just about you. It's the air we breathe. 1 billion Gilbhi selves flood the digital river, each a bid for control, each a cry to be seen. We're puppeteers all, tugging strings, staging shows. But the stage grows crowded, the lights too bright, and the audience scrolls past. Connection frays when every self is a performance. Beautiful, yes, but hollow. Vornholt saw it in the masked balls of his time. They laugh behind silk, but their eyes are lost. Today, the silk's pixels, the loss the same. Here's where reality bends. You've always thought it's solid. Your skin, your voice, the chair beneath you. Gilbhi blurs it. If you can stretch your face into a dream, if AI can spin your words into a myth, where's the line? Baudrillard would grin. The real's dead. We live in the hyperreal. Vornholt wouldn't go that far, but he'd muse. We chase the shadow because the light burns. The burn's the truth, imperfect, fragile, mortal. Gilbhi shields you from it, but at a cost. The more you control the shadow, the less you touch the light. Try it. You're alone, no audience, no strings. Strip the filter, drop the mask. What's there? A breath, a pulse, a quiet ache. It's not grand, not surreal. Just you. Vornholt called this the naked moment. No power, no stage, just being. It's raw, scary, alive. Gilbhi tempts you away from it, promising a throne of illusion. But the throne's a mirage. Sit too long, and you vanish into it. The puppet rules, Vornholt wrote, until the strings snap. This dance of control spins us deeper. We've tugged the strings, felt their pull. In the next part, we'll face the stage itself. What does Gilbhi mean for reality, for the soul's quiet cry, for the ties that bind us? The lights dim, the shadows stretch. Will you cut the threads? The echo in the void. Imagine a vast hall, its walls lined with portraits. Each one you, yet not you. Some glow with unearthly hues. Others twist into shapes that defy the eye. All staring back with a silent question. You painted them, hung them, invited the crowd to see. Their footsteps echo, their whispers bounce, but the hall feels empty. You reach for the frames, hoping to touch something solid, only to find the canvas cold, the faces flat. This is the Gilbhi trend's next turn. A gallery of selves where the artist stands alone, surrounded by echoes, searching for the voice that's gone quiet. We've lifted the veil, tugged the strings. You felt the rush of crafting a Gilbhi self, bold, surreal, yours, and the pull of its illusion. But Elias Vornholt, gazing from his attic at a world yet to no screens, would have heard something beneath the hum. We shout to be heard, he wrote, and mistake the echo for company. For Vornholt, the soul wasn't a thing to shape, but a sound to listen for, a note easily drowned by the clamor of our own making. Gilbhi amplifies that clamor, and the hall grows louder, emptier. Step into it. You post your Gilbhi mask, eyes like galaxies, a jaw carved from shadow, and the world answers. Likes, shares, gasps. You're seen, or something is. The crowd claps, but their hands are distant, their faces blurred. You've built a bridge to them, haven't you? A bridge of light and pixels, a path to connection. Yet the farther it stretches, the thinner it feels. Vornholt saw this in the marketplaces of his day. Vendors hawking wares, voices overlapping, no one truly met. "We trade shadows," he said, "and call it closeness. This is Gilbhi's quiet ache. You wanted to be seen on your terms, to dodge the world's sharp edges, its beauty rules, its quick judgments. So you painted a self that shines, a self they can't touch. It works, they look, they nod, they scroll on. But where are you in the exchange? The real you, the one with tired eyes, a crooked laugh, a heart that stumbles, stands off stage unlit." Vornholt would ask, "Who do they love, the portrait or the painter?" And harder still, "Do you? Connection's the dream, isn't it? From the first wail of birth, you've craved it. Eyes to meet yours, hands to hold. Gilbhi promises a new way. Be dazzling, be strange, be anything but plain, and they'll come." But the hall tells a different story. A million Gilbhi faces flood the digital air, each a cry, each an echo, and the void widens. Modern voices like Sherry Tuckle warn of this. Screens connect us, yet leave us alone together. Vornholt felt it centuries back. The louder we call, the less we hear. Now tilt the frame. Reality itself wavers here. You've always trusted it. The weight of your body, the sound of your breath, the ground underfoot. Gilbhi blurs the edges. If you can stretch your skin into a myth, if algorithms can weave a you that never was, what's real? The portrait hangs vivid, alive. More alive, maybe, than the you in the mirror. Baudrillard's ghost laughs. The simulacrum reigns. The real's a memory. Vornholt wouldn't bury it so quick, but he'd muse. We live in the echo and forget the voice. This isn't abstract. It's your day. You wake, you scroll. You see Gilbhi selves, friends, strangers, all shimmering. They're not them. Not quite. But they pull you in. You tweak your own mask, join the chorus. It's fun, it's art, it's power, until it's not. Late at night, the screen dims, and the hall's silence creeps in. You've connected, but to what? Shadows dance, but the painter's alone. Vornholt loved this moment. The void speaks when the noise stops. Here's the twist. The void's not empty. Strip the portraits. Hush the crowd, and something stirs, a pulse, a whisper, a you that doesn't need paint. Vornholt called it the root. Not a grand soul, not a fixed truth, but a quiet being, raw and unframed. Gilbhi pulls you from it, draping you in echoes, but it's still there, waiting. Think of Zen monks, sitting still, letting the world fade. Vornholt didn't sit. He walked through streets, storms, doubts, listening for that root beneath the masks. Try it. Turn off the screen. Sit with the dark. No filters, no strings, just you. It's not pretty, not surreal. Just there. The ache's real, the breath's uneven, the thoughts scatter. But it's yours, not the hall's. Gilbhi tempts you back. Be more, be seen, be loud. Vornholt would smile. The echo's sweet, but the voice is sweeter. Connection starts here, he'd say. Not in the portraits, but in the painter's shaky hand. This shifts the ground. We've walked the hall, heard the void. In the next part, we'll chase the root deeper. What does Gilbhi mean for the soul's truth, for the ties we crave, for the reality we've half lost? The portraits fade, the echo softens. Will you listen? The root beneath the paint. Imagine a tree in a storm, its branches thrashing, leaves torn away by the wind. You've watched it from a window, safe behind glass, marveling at its dance, wild, beautiful, untamed. But now you're outside barefoot, the rain soaking your skin, and you see the roots, gnarled, quiet, gripping the earth. The storm doesn't touch them. The show's above, but the strength's below. This is where Elias Vornholt takes us next. Past the Gilbhi trend's dazzling branches, down to the root. The unshaped, unseen self that holds you steady, even as the world howls for more paint. We've walked the hall, heard the echo, felt the void. You've tasted Gilbhi's allure, its power to remake you, to shield you from the storm of judgment. But Vornholt, scribbling by candlelight centuries ago, would have traced a deeper line. "We adorn the leaves," he wrote, "and forget the root." For him, the soul wasn't a canvas to color, but a pulse to feel. A truth that doesn't bend to the wind, doesn't need a frame. Gilbhi pulls you upward, into the branches, where the storm's loud and the crowd's watching. The root waits, silent. Feel that pull. You wake to a world that demands a show. Perfect posts, polished lives, a self that shines. Gilbhi hands you the brush. Paints something bold, something strange, something they can't ignore. You do. Your face twists into a myth. Your voice hums with digital magic. And the storm quiets for a moment. They see you, or the leaves they think are you, and clap. It's a thrill, a defiance. "I'm not your mirror. I'm my own." Vornholt would nod. The branches sway to claim the sky. But he'd ask, what holds them up? That question stings. You've built a Gilbhi self, surreal, untouchable. And it feels true, truer maybe than the you in the mirror. The mirror's cruel. Wrinkles, flaws, a tired slump. Gilbhi frees you from it, lets you soar. But late at night, the paint dries, the screen fades, and the root whispers, "Are you still here?" The real you, the one that stumbles, doubts, breathes, doesn't glow like the branches. It's rough, quiet, unglamorous. Vornholt loved it for that. The root's not beautiful, it's alive. This is Gilbhi's ethical edge. You've dodged the world's rules, its beauty traps, its quick cuts, by making your own. But what's the cost? If the painted self takes the stage, does the real self shrink? You're not just hiding flaws, you're hiding you. Sartre might call it bad faith. Denying what you are for what you pretend. Vornholt put it gentler. We bury the root to grow the tree, and wonder why it withers. The storm loves the leaves. They catch the light, but without the root, there's no tree at all. Now widen the frame. A forest of Gilbhi selves rises, each tree a twist of color, a shout against the wind. It's a rebellion, yes, but a fragile one. The crowd cheers the branches, scrolls past the roots. Connection thins when no one's real. When every face is a painting, every voice an echo. You reach for a friend's Gilbhi mask, admire its glow, but miss their eyes. Vornholt saw this in his village square. They trade masks, not hands. Today, it's pixels, not cloth, but the trade's the same. Here's the moral riddle. Is Gilbhi freedom or flight? You wield it to be seen on your terms, to dodge the storm's bite. But if it buries the root, is it courage or cowardice? Kant might demand truth, show the real, flaws and all. Nietzsche might cheer the art, create, defy, become. Vornholt wouldn't pick sides. He'd sit by the tree and ask, does it live? Not for the crowd, not for the storm, for you. Does it feed the root or starve it? Reality bends again. If the Gilbhi self outshines the real, which is you, the branches wave vivid, alive. More alive, maybe, than the mud-streaked root. Modern minds like Harari whisper. We're data now, stories we tell. Vornholt felt it too. The paint sings louder than the pulse. But he'd walk the storm, touch the earth and say, the root's still there. It's not a grand soul, not a fixed eye, just a being stubborn, quiet, holding on. Try it. Step outside the screen, the storm, the show. No filters, no crowd, just you. The root's there. A shaky breath, a raw thought, a hand that doesn't need to paint. It's not surreal, not bold, just true. Gilbhi tempts you back. Be more, be seen, be art. Vornholt would smile. The branches dazzle, but the root endures. Truth starts here, he'd say. Not in the paint, but in the earth beneath. This shifts the ground. We've dug to the root, felt its pulse. In the final part, we'll face the storm's end. What does Gilbhi mean for the soul's dance, for the ties we weave, for the reality we choose? The wind howls, the tree stands. Will you climb or dig? The storm's quiet heart. Imagine the storm slowing, its roar softening to a murmur. The tree stands still now, branches dripping, roots damp and firm. You're not outside anymore, not watching. You're in it, rain on your face, earth under your nails. The crowd's gone, the screen's dark, and the Gilbhi portraits fade like wet paint running off a canvas. What's left? A quiet hum, a pulse in your chest, a world that doesn't need your brush to turn. This is where Elias Vornholt ends our dance. Not in the storm's howl or the branches' sway, but in its heart, the place where the root meets the wind and the soul finds its step. We've lifted the veil, tugged the strings, walked the hall, dug to the root. You felt Gilbhi's pull. Its promise to remake you, to shield you, to shout your name above the noise. But Vornholt, pacing his attic as the world slept, saw the arc complete. "We paint to escape," he wrote, and return to breathe. For him, the soul wasn't a thing to craft or hide. It was a rhythm, a dance with a storm, not against it. Gilbhi spins you into the branches, but the heart's below, beating steady. Look back at the journey. You took the brush because the world demanded a show. Perfect faces, perfect lives, a self that fits the frame. Gilbhi let you break it. Twist the face, warp the voice, be a myth instead of a mold. It was power, rebellion, a cry. "I'm more than your mirror." Vornholt would have cheered that cry. "The soul kicks at the cage," he'd say, but he'd point to the quiet after. "The kick's not the dance. You've defied the storm, but have you met it?" Here's the final turn. Gilbhi isn't wrong. It's half the song. The branches dazzle, the paint sings, and that's real too. Art's human. Think of cave walls scratched with ochre, masks carved for gods. You create because you must, because the root alone feels small. Vornholt knew this. We dream beyond the earth, and that's our spark. But he'd sit by the tree rain-soaked and add, "The dream's alive because the root holds." Gilbhi lifts you, but the landing matters. Back to the pulse, the breath, the you that doesn't need a frame. Connection finds its place here. You painted for the crowd, for the echo, hoping they'd see you. The hall emptied, the lights faded, but the storm taught you. They can't see the root unless you do. Drop the mask. Not all the way, not always, and let the real peek through. A friend meets your eyes, not your filter. A stranger hears your voice, not its echo. It's messy, risky, alive. Vornholt saw it in his village. Hands touch when the silk falls. Today, it's pixels for silk, but the touch holds. Reality settles too. Gilbhi blurred it. Paint over flesh, myth over mud. And you wondered, which is me? The storm answers, both. The branches wave, the root grips. The portrait shines, the pulse beats. You're not one or the other. You're the dance between. Plato dreamed of forms, pure and high. Baudrillard mourned the real's collapse. Vornholt split the difference. We're shadow and soil, and that's the song. Gilbhi's not a lie. It's a verse, but not the whole tune. Step into it. The screen's off, the storm's past. You don't need to paint today. Not for them, not for you. Sit with the root. A laugh that cracks, a thought that wanders, a hand that rests. It's not grand, not surreal. Just there. Then tomorrow, maybe, you'll brush again, play, defy dream. Vornholt would grin. The soul dances up and down, and both are true. Freedom's not in the paint or the earth. It's in the sway, the choice, the quiet heart. This shifts everything. The world still howls, scrolls, judges, demands. Gilbhi still tempts. Be more, be seen, be art. But you felt the root, heard the storm's end. You can paint without vanishing, connect without hiding, live without framing every step. It's not escape, not flight, it's balance. Vornholt's last note, scratched in fading ink. The storm's ours to dance with, not to flee. So ask yourself, what's your next step? A brush in hand, a screen aglow, or a moment bare, Unlit yours? The tree stands, the wind hums, the root waits. Gilbhi's a tool, not a throne. Wield it, but don't sit too long. The dance goes on, and you're in it, shadow and soil, paint and pulse. That's the truth Vornholt left us. We're not the portrait or the painter. We're the storm's quiet heart.